Remove anything from the consent agenda?
I would like to remove item 4, the minutes, and have a discussion.
Okay,
Action.
any others? Okay, do we have a motion on the others?
So moved. Approve the consent agenda except for item 4.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Item 4.
Okay, item 4, I had 2 comments on the agenda that was
Okay.
published. Let's see here. First, it would be on regular item agenda number 9.
Okay,
And that was the Woodlands Water. And I did give these 2 corrections to Shelley so that she has the verbiage that I would like to add. I'd like to add that Director Thaler requested a copy of the cited 2022 Evangeline Aquifer study.
so moved.
Okay, next one would be regular item number 13. And I would like to add a second new paragraph. There with matters related under the legal stuff. And I would like to add that Director Thaler requested that MUD 67's legal counsel review Texas Election Code Section 2555.003 and any other governing Texas laws and regulations that could apply to the WWA's practices of using government resources to provide and fill out candidate application forms for current directors seeking re-election and report the findings at our next meeting.
Does the attorney have any problem with it?
He wasn't here, but I did request, I did get that from my tape.
There was a request.
Yeah. I'd like to add that to the minutes.
So moved.
Can I make, sorry, go ahead. Should we vote on that first?
Oh, go ahead.
Well, no, so I moved it.
I second that.
Okay, moved and seconded.
All in
All
favor?
those in favor?
Aye.
The one comment I have is I think we do a really good job of capturing minutes. There's so much going on. But the one thing I've noticed, if you'll notice, the 2 things I asked for today are requests made by directors for specific items from our staff or our support staff or the SJRA asking for material or some finding. And I think they should be in the minutes when we make a specific request for a specific item, because that way I won't forget I did it, number 1. And number 2, it'll be a matter of record that we are working together, trying to solve some of these issues. So I would like that as I don't know that's not a motion or anything. I don't know. I'd like the board to all agree that we would like to see that in our minutes at the very least.
Shelley? Okay. All right,
Thank you.
item 12, review and consider approval of district's fiscal year 24, 25
Did we vote on the remaining items? We
Yeah,
did,
we
to start with.
draft order.
Yep,
Yeah.
thank you.
Draft order.
Y'all doing?
Okay.
Wrong agenda.
Audit went well. We've got a clean opinion again. I've got a couple of changes from Director Martin. I'm really here today, to answer any questions, get any comments. Our plan is to have this to the TCEQ in mid-February, so we've got time. If you don't want to spend more time looking at it and get any more comments. It's a clean audit. It went well.
I have one correction for you.
Yes, sir.
Page 46. Mr. Thaler is not, he has no title other than director. And I have a general question for you as well. So you're auditing what exactly are you auditing and what aren't you auditing? And you do an audit for us,
Yeah,
57.
That's a good question.
That's not meant to be.
Yeah, we obviously look at the numbers and we get verification on the numbers and so forth.
You talk about the numbers that WWA is billing 67? What numbers?
All of it. We do an audit of the WWA as well, but then we audit each MUD directly, and then we look at internal control systems and just policies and procedures and so forth, and to make sure that your system is working so that things don't. We're not there to find the nickel. We're there to make sure that overall you have a system in place that the nickel should be picked up in your normal course of business. But
Proper reporting, banking and everything else. Do you audit Does the WWA do outside audits of money spent with outside contractors? You don't do that, right? Derek, I don't know what your spend is for contractors other than the River Authority, but do we do an audit of them?
Not quite understanding your
Okay,
question.
is it
What contractors?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what, I suppose I guess that's one of the first questions is you must contract work out. I know we have a ditch work, right? So it's not a big spend that we contract out that we would need to audit,
But what are we auditing? I guess.
whether they build us properly. For instance, I used to,
Well,
I ran an oil and gas
in the
industry.
public
and-
world, they
yeah,
give us a proposal and they follow through with the proposal. So if it doesn't meet the proposal, then we don't agree to it. So,
Okay,
they give us an estimated price to do their work.
okay,
When they're done,
uh-huh,
they submit it. If it meets what we agreed to,
Okay.
then we pay it. So
Okay.
there's no,
I see,
it's an immediate, I mean, our
They're not
process
passing.
is,
okay.
yeah, our process, and
Gotcha.
then that invoice goes through multiple people to go through that process to
Right.
confirm.
So they're not billing you for, you don't pay work that they say they've done, except for the big picture. In other words, they said they spent $100 on something, you don't go and check they spent $100. You just make sure that the work that you contracted was done properly.
Work that they
Okay.
contracted. So if they say
Gotcha.
they're gonna go replace that pipe for $15,482
Got it,
and they finish that work to our approval, then when that invoice comes in, we confirm it and
Okay,
then
thank you.
approve it for payment.
okay, thanks.
Okay.
Any other questions for the auditor? Thank you.
So we approve it, would we need to approve this
Move to
today?
accept the audit report.
Second,
Subject to,
All those in favor?
well, before we do, I thought they said there were some minor corrections yet to come. On the audit report, where there's some other changes to come possibly.
So, yeah, the motion specifically to approve the audit, subject to any comments that may be provided for revisions from directors, consultants, or staff.
I think that's what Paul said, right?
That's what I heard.
yeah.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
I second Paul's motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item 13, grant exemptions from taxations for 2026 and the adoption of resolution in connection therewith.
All right, this is our annual consideration of exemptions. As you know, the exemptions that you consider now will be implemented when you adopt your tax rate later this year in August, September. The district can either keep your current exemptions that are reflected in the draft resolution that's been prepared, or if you want to modify it as you did last year, now would be the time to discuss modifying your current exemptions.
Okay, the current exemptions are 40,000.
65 in the state and 20%, which is the highest you can go for homestead.
Before we move on that, I'd like a little discussion. I mean, we had this comes up every year, obviously. And I remember last year we had a discussion and there was some data provided to this body before we made a decision. And that was what were the other MUDs doing? And I printed out a copy of what they gave us. So at least we knew how we were doing relative to every other MUD. This is a part of a consistency. Yes, but we didn't know, without that data, we know that now, but it was really nice to get some confirmation of where we stood relative to everything else. The other issue I have, those are problem MUDs, and it's my fault. I tried to get with Jeannie before the meeting to understand how many people we were really talking about, because when we grant exemptions, somebody else has to pay for it. And I'm not opposed to that. I think we did a good job last year because I actually made a spreadsheet last year that we looked at, and I didn't have time this year, as to how many people we were granting exemptions to, what the cost was to us, and what we were transferring over to other people. And unfortunately, I'm not able to do that this time. I was tied up with the surgery and, hey, there's Jim. Hey, welcome, Jim.
Jim.
I wasn't able to do it. I feel frustrated trying to make decisions on rates of what we're going to exempt for people on real money and really affecting them without having the data to make a decision.
You have 1,018 customers that have over 65 and disabled.
Now, I know,
Okay,
I know you have that, but wouldn't it have been nice to have that information to the MUD before while we considered the issue? I'm not being critical. It's just a different way of doing business. I've been a person that provided data to boards. I've been the presenter to boards. I've been the board people receiving the information. And typically, an issue like this, I would be given something like a little spreadsheet form that said, "Hey, here's all the things that go on about this. In other words, these are how many people. This is how much money we're talking. This is where the funds are being allocated." And I did that last year. I didn't do it this year. And I'm wondering if it's possible that we delay this for 1 month and that you and I'll work with you, Jeannie. I think you have all the information and you know it like this, that we could come up with a format, at least for our mud and probably help other muds, that you can just put that out before the meeting is done. And it just was the simple data that you have would slide into 10 spreadsheet, just 1 page that we'd all have the information. We get it before the meeting and we can slam dunk these decisions. It's a suggestion. I'll be willing to work with you to help you use your brain because you got all the brain. I just know what information I'm looking for to make a decision. If we did it together, I think we'd come up with a good answer. So my suggestion is to delay this for 1 month. I think we can, and work with assign me to work with Jeannie to come up with a nice format that you guys we could all use.
What's the timeline on this, Jeannie?
We can put it off until February. We have to have everything to the appraisal district by the end of really April, middle of April, for preliminaries that come out in May. We have as close preliminaries we can get.
Any other comments?
I'm good.
Eric?
That's what you'd like, we can do.
Yeah, I'd be happy to work with Jeannie. Help me understand next year. I'll be here next year.
We'll defer item 13
Thank you.
till February. Okay, item 14, see regular monthly SJR Woodlands Division.
All right, well, we have a lot of information on your packet between 43 and I think it was 87. Yeah, I'm not going to cover all that. What I'm going to try to draw your attention to is page 82. And page 82 is a recommendation from the River Authority. So the gravity conveyance optimization is a program that came out of the wastewater strategic plan years ago. High level this was looking to consolidate and remove 5 lift stations from service and replace it with a gravity conveyance line. And so after conducting route feasibility study, life cycle cost analysis studies, our recommendation is on page 82. So the entire report that we have is on the Google Drive for you all to review. And at the end of the day, our recommendation is not to consolidate the lift stations and replace it with a gravity main, but to replace lift station 5, which has additional data showing the current condition it's in. Lift station 5's force main is about 8,100 feet. Page 83 shows the original project plan sheet when it was originally funded. This project is already designed, and it actually design was completed around 2020, 2021. Land acquisition is already done. Then pages 84 and 85 show some of the condition. There's also a condition assessment report on the Google Drive for you to take a look at. So all this to be said, to fund the lift station 5 force main, we're looking for the trustees in March to take action to do a budget amendment to move money from the wastewater plant 1 land acquisition project, the 9.5 from that project, and put it on this project so we can get this project done. That's what I have, unless you have any questions on it.
I just want to say I'm heartbroken. When you told me about this project, it made complete sense that it would be a slam dunk, smart thing to do. And I'm really glad you did the numbers because the numbers proved to me that I was wrong and that we can't do it. But it sounded so good.
We'd like to have it done as well. And the thing is, when you're looking at the table on page 82, 3A, obviously, if you look at all of them, it's over a 50-year range, so it's margin of error.
Yeah, it is.
But 3B through 3E has another minimum $10 million that needs to go on top of it for a lift station to be built.
Yeah, you put that above that. I figured that's what it was.
Then you're out.
Otherwise, a couple $1 million in 10 years, we wouldn't know if that was right or not.
Right.
Well, I support that. What's the motion we need to make?
I was just curious, looking
Oh,
at,
sorry.
excuse me, at the pictures here where the condition of these pipes. I mean, it's pretty sad looking. So was this the way, I mean, when you uncovered it, this is what you saw, or?
Well, when it blew out, this is what we
It blew out. All right, so we had some of the sewage that was actually getting into the environment, so there had to be some cleanup and what have you. Okay. And so is there any way that we would have been able to know that this was the condition without having dug it up in advance? And recognizing there could be an environmental impact when something like this goes, is there any way to have had any prior knowledge or by testing that to have discovered the condition of this pipe ahead of time?
To a certain degree, not to this dire of condition because it's paper thin, but one of the reports on your Google Drive is a study we did in 2014 on the condition where we took a smart ball and sent it through to tell us what the actual thickness of the pipe was. That point in time, the smart ball was still new coming out. So the technology we had to dig up certain areas and then do a scan on it to see,
Right.
but it did not show us this at that time. So.
With the newer technology of the smart ball, presumably if we do that in the future,
Potentially,
we'd have a better reading.
right, because we use the smart ball on the AC water lines.
Right.
Going through there and got a better idea.
Okay, thank you.
So Chris, you need a motion on this?
I do not today. The trustees, I'm going to ask to vote for that in March.
Okay.
So we can just advise our trustee that we support it. Would I make a motion that we advise our trustee that we support him in the trustee meeting on March to approve this project?
Chris,
Oh,
question, on page 82,
Yes.
the 9.5 million for the wastewater system land acquisition, was that for the main site?
That is.
Okay, and we, as I recall, we used part of those funds and then we put it on hold.
Correct. So the original budget was $10 million.
Okay.
I think 200,000 was reallocated to the condition assessment that Will was currently doing. And the remainder of that was already land acquisition stuff that was done, legal and surveys and environmental assessments.
So if the proposal is to go ahead and expand the plant, then we're going to have to come for additional money. You're going to have to come back for additional money to replace that. Is that correct?
But if you want to keep the money for the land acquisition, then I need to come to you and I need $9.5 million in March to do this project.
So there's a
I'd
timing
rather
change.
defer it.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a timing. I mean, it's a good move.
But you don't need a decision until March.
Correct.
And I appreciate your motion, but I would maybe want to just defer this till February. I'd like a chance to look a little deeper into it.
Sure.
If that's
No,
okay.
happy to withdraw the motion.
Mhm.
Now that you're back, yes.
Okay. Any other comments on that one?
Did Chris have?
Item 15, review and discuss SCRA GRP global amendment.
Chris, are you done?
Unless you have a question, I can cover,
Yeah, no,
I'm going to cover 15.
and then I
Yeah,
have
let's go
something.
on his presentation. Page 44, please. And maybe we're gonna cover this under Eric's thing. I don't know. The missing water.
Water loss is still being investigated. I think we met last week here to talk about it. I'll let you take it. from there.
Yeah, we had a meeting with SDRA, kind of brainstorming,
Okay.
what we haven't looked into yet, which we have looked into everything we can find. It still seems to point to that September. It looks like the water coming from SDRA looks consistent with the months around it in terms of the production side. There is a dip in the billing side, and we've looked at reports after reports to see if there's some kind of outlier or a big user or anything. And
Yeah.
it's not there. So we haven't given up. We're still digging into it. Gonna try to get some additional reports to see if there's something that shows us.
So supply is kind of as expected. And the payment isn't. Can we track the different payments by different months or localities?
That's what we've already done that. yeah.
And nothing.
Right.
That's frustrating.
So we're looking at seeing reports in different ways to see if there's something that comes out.
So wait a minute, in the past and surrounding months, the usage, the payments must have been one number that was expected to be higher than it is. So was it across the board a drop or was it, in other words,
Yes,
Really?
mhm.
Yeah, okay.
which just confuses us.
Yeah, me too. Interesting. Okay, that's why you got a brainstorm team working on
We're
it.
still,
See how helpful I was?
A minor question, Chris, on 47, the net revenues over expenses, that $8.4 million, is that just, that overage, that just gets rolled into the general fund or what?
If you can.
47,
47.
last column, annual budget.
Net revenues over expenses, you said 8.4 million?
Yeah.
Oh, that's just that's before everything below debt service and everything else. So yeah, from there, you would just take out the bond principal, lease principal, R&R transfers. And then, of course, the capital improvements and you zero out.
Okay.
So.
Page 86. Oh, do you have something? I'm sorry, Ed, was I interrupting?
No,
Okay.
once we finish with Chris.
Okay. Page 86, the water plant generator.
Yes.
Mess up. Could you give me a little background on that? I'm trying to track who paid for what and what it cost us.
Gotcha. So 86 and 87, I'll talk specifically about 86, but both of these are project budget amendments. So this is not an O&M budget amendment that would need to go in front of trustees. This is basically project budgets where we added to it. And so we typically bring these to all the MUD's trustees prior to, just as an FYI, but these occurred after the November MUD meetings. And since there was no December ones, the board took action in December. So it's after the fact, but no cash exchanging hands.
I did mine.
So on page 86, what happened with the generators is originally we were just going to buy just the generators themselves ourselves and give it to the contractor. We decided to buy a little bit more transfer switches, conduits, whatever it may be at the time. So we went over budget on the equipment side, which it's the other one split. Oh no, it's at the bottom. So you can see the budget was 207. The equipment purchase was 461, which is the biggest part of the overage of 254,000. That's just us buying stuff. You let the contractor buy it, then they have 10-15% markup on that plus there. So that's the bulk of the overage. The other one that caused us to go to the board is the electrical engineer didn't follow the NEC, National Electric Code, in certain areas. They also did not coordinate with Entergy. And so in the course of doing that, when Entergy came to the site to actually de-energize the site, they noticed there was an issue. At Water Plant 1, I think it was, Water Plant 1, the contractor had already installed a lot of conduit and everything else. That's why that change order is high, because it all had to be ripped out. The other two sites, nothing was installed. The contractor had bought the wrong stuff. So the design engineer corrected the design, gave us the design, or gave the contractor design after we approved it, and then we had to procure the materials for that. All that to be said, that change order is 92,000 and change. So we are requesting that the design engineer, since they created the errors and omissions, funds that entire 92,000 and change. They created the issue. If they would have done it correct, the right way the first time, we would have paid whatever smaller portion of the difference.
So when you did that calculation, so under his guidance, you put some stuff that you had bought, equipment that you had bought in. And then it had to be pulled out.
Right.
Okay, so are you recouping the money you paid him to not do his job? In other words, when he told you, good to go, put your equipment in here, you're paying me X dollars to tell you this. You took it out, so you had to pay to take it out. That's here. What about the money you paid him to give you that advice?
From the actual design engineer.
Yeah, the contract said you paid him X, Y, whatever you paid him, and he gave you bad advice. Are we recouping that too?
He did all the redesign and
At his cost.
it's their fault.
Okay.
So we didn't get money back from them, but they had to correct all their issues for free.
And when you just took out the equipment, were you able to reuse it, or did you pay, is that part of this change order?
No, you can go ahead.
More of a pull box, big
Yeah.
electrical pull boxes. So it wasn't the actual main switchboard or the ATS.
Okay.
It was, the problem was the secondary feeders coming from Entergy's transformer were going through the same pull boxes, the conductors that were coming from the generator to the ATS and from the ATS to the building. Well, Entergy does not allow that. And so the one site, the pull box was installed, conduits to it, when there wasn't enough room to put a second one off to the side and reroute the conduits. So they had to pull that one out and then reconfigure some of the conduits right there.
So were you able to reuse some of the material that you put in? Okay, fine. I just wanted to understand what he did and how we recouped the money. Thank you. I also had a question on page 87. Are you done with 80? That was a good, I understand.
You're done with it, I'm done.
Oh, no, you helped me a lot. 87, we awarded a bid for a crit classifier improvement and you chose the high bidder. And you gave an explanation why you chose the high bidder is experience. And the only question I have is when I look at the two bids on your little chart there, what are the awarded points? Are they good points or are those bad things?
Okay, so these awarded points, that is the points they are awarded for their cost. After that, which is a good point, it does not show the total cost, total points that were awarded. So the lower the cost, the more points they get up to 50, right?
But you also have points that you give them for being
Good
good.
qualifications and everything else.
That's where they won.
I'm sorry?
Is that why you picked the high bidder? Because his
Correct.
award, his quality points were higher?
We picked the most qualified.
Perfect. So I'm not against it. I just didn't understand it from the data you gave.
Yeah, no, I just now caught that. We didn't have the full thing on there.
Not a problem. I know you're making good decisions.
Plus, we'd worked with that contractor previously.
Not a problem. I appreciate that. No, the transparency is good. You denied it. You said, here it is, and I just couldn't figure it out from the table. Thank
Yeah,
you.
no.
We're ready for
No,
50?
no,
One more.
no.
One more thing, Alan.
Okay,
I have some
Okay.
more too. Oh yeah, this is the thing that Chris handed, it's over there that Chris handed out. It's about the SCAN program that was run by Stanford. And it's something, it's very complicated, but it's pretty cool. And we're getting paid about $50,000 a year for it. And per Chris's email, it says the revenue goes into an excess funds calculation. And so where does my $50,000 go?
Goes into excess funds.
So I don't know what that is.
So next month, we're gonna bring the excess funds calculation. And basically, it's any money that's left over at the end of the year.
Is that that R&R thing?
No, this is money that, it could be R&R. So there's generally three different options. Either we give you whatever money's left back to the MUDs at a pro rata share. We say we have all these projects and ask y'all if y'all want to fund those with the excess funds, or it's a split of give you some back and do something.
So this is the Woodlands only access fund.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. That was it. And one last thing. Where's our 10-year capital plan?
That will be presented in May.
Still in progress.
I thought we had some decisions to make before then about discussion anyhow, about financing it and
The supplemental agreement for the water line replacement, we're hoping, I don't know if you have an update. Actually, no, we don't. We're hoping it's gonna be the all in February. But we have to get it to Woodlands Water and of course your council review first.
so, and I think you guys did a really good job with that project. And we had a great discussion about how we're going to start scheduling the project and most likely where those costs are going to show up and then we can discuss how to fund it. My problem is we're operating that in a vacuum. There are a lot of other capital projects out there that I see no schedule for. So I don't know when those are coming up relative to the pipeline project.
So, okay.
So how do we make a decision, whether it's a good thing to do or not, and how to spend the money if we don't have at least an overview of where that 10-year plan is?
So the 10-year plan that we presented last May is on our website. I can get another copy to Eric. He can pass along. That's the one that we're operating under now until May when we present the new one, which would be effective in September. There's three main projects that are driving the boat. One is the water lines.
We're comfortable with, I think.
Second one was the gravity conveyance, which we talked about earlier. The third is the wastewater plant, which best guess is a year plus. I'll tell you, on the new 10-year project plan, we're not including the wastewater plant on there any which way. We're not including a new one. We're not including remodel, nothing, because we have no direction.
That's something, that's something I didn't know. Okay.
Right. And
So the least is we're not gonna be looking at capital funding for a year or two for that project.
that project, it all depends on when
But right now. you're-
decisions are made.
Okay. What about, I thought we had some water towers to replace and some wells. That doesn't add up significantly.
Pre-funded. That's included with the R&R. So like the EST 6 is about $11 million and the R&R has been funded over the years we pre-funded the R&R over the years to fund that in cash.
Perfect.
So
Wise, very good.
we're getting there.
Take care of us. I appreciate it. No, that helped me. I feel a lot better about where we are now relative to the 10-year plan and what we're trying to do to figure out how to fund it. Thank you.
Any other questions? John?
I gotta turn the page.
No. Okay. On page 97 through 100 is the monthly maintenance report for Bear Branch, Panther and Alden Branch for your information. Just a quick update on the Bear Branch Dam modifications. Remember, we had applied to Congressman Crenshaw earlier last year for an additional 5 million. The House has passed the energy and water appropriations, and we're waiting on the Senate. And then we have heard from the Corps of Engineers on the Bear Panther drainage project. And they have accepted our paperwork, but they have not initiated the feasibility. So more to come.
Step in the right direction.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you.
One last thing is we'll have the engineering inspection, the 5-year TCQ inspection of Bear Branch Dam report for you shortly. There were no major findings other than what was already in their engineering study of the dam.
Once every 5 years?
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
That's it.
Thank you. 17, consider an act on pay application number 4 for retail wastewater collection system rehab.
15
Wait a
minutes.
minute, where are we?
Okay, I thought he covered 15.
No, that's the,
Sorry.
we got a little
Yeah.
conversation there.
Go ahead.
So, yeah, that's in your packet. Copy of it is in the caller's presentation by Esther A. and Aubrey in September. And in that presentation, they noted that there would be a global amendment coming, a draft of it. So we received that, and they've asked for us to take a look at that and give comments by the end of February. So I have that in your packet, and we can get you an electronic copy. I think it's we can send you a link if you need the electronic version. So I'll need comments back from everyone by next meeting, and then I can collate them and get those to SGRA by the end of February.
This agreement go out to all of the GRP participants.
Correct. It went to our 80 participants.
Do you expect to get the comments from everyone?
I'm hopeful to get comments from majority. Not expecting.
Before we just get into voting on this motion or this agreement.
Yeah, there's no voting.
Just,
Okay. Well, I'd like to ask some questions because we have the Brain Trust here. We have a legal representative. We have Eric who's been involved. We got the SJRA. And I'm asking these questions in light of, I want to make sure that my residents in MUD 67 are being taken care of and haven't been burdened by the cost of this agreement and the settlement. Because I do believe that, I'm not sure, but I want to go through and make sure I understand some basic facts. So in 2015, the GRP contract took effect. Is that about right?
2010.
Oh, well, yeah, but yeah, okay, I thought all the contracts were signed by end by 15.
The
But thank you.
contract
End of
was
15.
complete in
Yeah.
15.
And in 16, Conroe started disputing the wholesale water rate.
16.
Like 16, good. And then in 25, you guys settled a suit directly between River Authority and Conroe with no other parties involved.
That is correct.
Okay, so in that agreement, I believe Conroe agreed to pay the full amount of the short paid funds. In other words, they paid for the water they took, but they didn't pay for the other fees that they challenged in the lawsuit.
They paid for the water they took, and the River Authority waived any penalties, interest, and attorney's fees. We paid our attorney's fees, they paid theirs.
You waived all attorney fees, and who paid those attorney fees?
They were, the last couple of years, they were in the budget of the GRP, and then prior to that, they were paid for out of the general fund, weren't they?
Don't recall.
Did any of them, did my residents, were they impacted by paying attorney fees in one way or another, in any shape or form from the River Authority's billings to us?
It was part of the GRP budget the last 4 years.
So the answer is yes. So what about the penalties that you didn't recoup? Did they pay for those? Or you had a contract that said you could recoup penalties, but you didn't. So it's the same thing.
It was a negotiated
Yeah, I
settlement.
understand, but I wasn't a party to that negotiated settlement. I'm starting to think that my residents paid the price for your agreement. I'm trying to understand. I'm not accusing anybody. I'm trying to understand if
Your
I'm.
tone suggests that.
Well, and it may be right, and I'm not trying to be aggressive because I hear some waffling on how well the GRP, but at the end of the day, I think it's true that the interest that they didn't pay was us. The legal fees that we incurred were paid by our legal fees. We ended up being a piece of the legal fees. None of that was recovered. There was interest on that money that wasn't paid, and we didn't get that. And then finally, to make sure I'm understanding the settlement that you reached. the settlement between the River Authority and the city of Conroe described exactly how the funds that you recouped were to be used. In other words, they were going to go to some kind of bond defeasance and maybe a little bit to R&R. That was the only choices you had. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And does the city of Conroe benefit from bond defeasance payments and the R&R fund?
Everybody in the GRP,
See what I mean? That's why I'm being defensive.
let me finish. Everybody in the GRP benefits from the bond defeasance, and they also benefit from the fact that Conroe is taking more surface water, which lowers the rate.
Okay, well, that's all nice and good, but bottom line, you made a River Authority and the city of Conroe made a settlement, an agreement that said, here's how you're going to disperse your funds, and we're going to be, the city of Conroe is going to be a beneficiary of those funds. So again, the customers that were standing by you the whole time and ended up eating the legal fees, ending up the interest, and eating the fees, didn't get any recompense for that. Then we're told that you're going to be part of a fund that is going to be shared with Conroe in the benefits of the fees. So here we are now at this global agreement. So I'm trying to understand, and again, so this agreement was done, and now we're being told that there's a global agreement that you'd like us to comment on. Well, the global agreement was included in the contract between Conroe and the River Authority. Is that not correct?
It is part of the settlement, yes.
Thank you. So River Authority and Conroe have made an agreement, and this global agreement is in settlement, and they've signed off on it. And now we're being told, well, the GRP people have to sign it too. But guess what? For the Woodlands Water, we don't have a vote on this thing, because as I understand that, our vote is being exercised by the Woodlands Water Division. Is that true?
That is correct.
So the Woodlands Water Division, who do they work for?
Who worked for you?
And who's the head of the Water Division?
Woodlands Division?
The Woodlands Water Division. Does he report to Eric?
No,
Who does he report to?
I report to Ed.
I report to the general
Was it you?
manager and the board.
Okay, so you're an employee of the River Authority. You're working for you also represent the Woodlands Water Division. And you're going to be the party that agrees to the global amendment on our behalf to the contract that was an agreement that was signed by your boss, the River Authority, and the city of Conroe. Is that right? Yes, it is. It's okay. I know it is. So bottom line, I don't know why we're even discussing this global amendment. We don't have a vote. I'm not understanding why we haven't been more aggressive in pursuing our losses. To our legal counsel, does the River Authority have a fiduciary responsibility to us, their clients, the Woodlands Water, in the muds?
They have a contractual obligation in the
Okay.
district.
But that's not a fiduciary one?
Well, I don't want to get into terms of
Okay.
me, but you're asking me off the cuff and
Yes, I am, and that's fair. I appreciate that. I guess I'm feeling that we have not been party to an agreement that's cost my residents money, bottom line. And I've heard nobody in the trustees and no mud people and no Woodland Water Authority people saying, wait a minute, are we being treated fairly? And how much, I don't know how much money we've lost. I mean, we can figure out and go back and calculate the interest that was lost, the penalties that weren't paid, the lawyer fees, and how that all affected us. And I'm curious as to how significant that is, that my residents ate that cost and got nothing for it. And it was thrown on us, not by our agreement, but by somebody else. So I personally don't want to sign this global amendment or comment on. I think we should delay this agreement and hopefully have some other facts finding. I think some other people are looking into this as well, so that we understand exactly what happened to Woodlands Water and the muds.
Question. Legal, we're going to have an executive session on this topic.
we can if you'd like,
I suggest we do.
What's an executive session?
closed session.
We're gonna have a closed session. Is it true that if you have a closed session, then anything you discuss in a closed session cannot be discussed outside of that session?
Correct.
Then what exactly do we want to talk about in a closed session that we can't talk about to our residents online?
Well, I mean, it's a matter of if you want to discuss things that would be attorney-client.
Now, what would that be in this instant? I'm asking you. Paul, you're asking
A
for it.
further definition of what happens.
I mean, it's up to the board if you want to go into closed session, but.
Yeah, I'm asking what we do.
Well, you obviously don't talk about the subject matter of closed session and open session, because then what's the point of?
Yeah,
open
but
session?
if we learn something that's useful to this discussion that I'm having, we can't use it. And I'm trying to figure out what we're not going to tell our residents about what happened here relative to their possibly taking a loss because of this agreement.
But you could come back out into open session, have the topic, something on an agenda, and depending on advice from council, it may be something that you could share. That would be with your guidance.
So, and I'm not against it. Paul, help me understand what we would talk with Brian about in closed session that we wouldn't want to talk about in open session.
All right, let's just back up and I'll start answering the questions in open session. Please explain to the board what happens if we take no action on this agreement.
I think we need to talk about that in closed session.
There you go.
I mean, I've actually heard you talk to the trustees in open session about some of the ramifications of that. So why don't you at least tell us what you can say in open session before we decide to go to closed session?
Following your question.
Okay, it's not a question, it's a comment. Oh, I guess it is. I have heard in previous MUD meetings on tape where you have, or maybe it was a trustee meeting, where you discussed some of the ramifications of not signing the global agreement or agreeing to this, and how it would impact us by reverting back to the old agreement. And you've done that in open session.
I don't recall.
Okay, well, let me see if
I mean, if it's on the recording, it's there.
Well, okay, exactly. So let me see if I can, because I can't make this stuff up. I don't understand, but as I understand it, there was a, let's see, there's a timeline. Conroe reduced it from 80 to 40 years. I think you mentioned that. And there was something else that was good for us that was in the new one, but not in the old one. I'm trying to remember what it was. Do you remember, Steve? Those are the two items you talked about in public. I have to go back and look, I guess.
Yeah,
There was a presentation. I wonder if you're
Yeah.
talking about the presentation from River Authority
River Authority.
Council to the trustees in September of last year. And there was a
Maybe. It's possible.
PowerPoint and a discussion about the settlement and the proposed amendment. That may be.
Oh,
what
that
you're
could be, and I would
Yeah.
apologize if
it
that.
may have been when she was
that would-
making the presentation at the
that would-
trustee meeting.
So that
Yeah.
wouldn't need to be in closed session if she publicly said it, so you could recite it here.
Correct. Well, I think we've got I mean, I can't speak for River Authorities Council, but I think they had a PowerPoint that they had provided. I think they were.
One sheet plus a PowerPoint.
So,
Eric has a copy of all those attachments. Not.
So on the, yeah.
Do you remember what it was?
I threw out the pages from that meeting. I keep a file
Okay.
just for some things I think are important. So that September 10th, page 74, of that trustee packet has a second amendment and a fallback agreement. It says, well, the prior page says, to be effective, the global amendment must be approved by participants representing at least 85% of annual water demand in the GRP by January the 1st of 2027. So that's that slide. And the next slide says Second Amendment fallback agreement. Again, this is from the River Authority and what they presented to the trustees. The Second Amendment would be become effective if the global amendment does not receive the required participant approvals by January 22nd. Substance of global amendment incorporated with two notable exceptions. The Second Amendment makes the provisions of the global amendment effective, but only as between the authority and the city. Those two exceptions are the rate review procedures under the GRP contract remain unchanged, and the mediation procedures under the GRP contract remain unchanged. I think that's what you're.
Yeah, now isn't the contract changing? Didn't Conroe change it from 80 to 40 years?
That's also in their presentation. but
Yeah, that
this
was
is
about it. And then there was something else that actually really affected us, that we would lose some ability to do something. I can't remember what it was. We lost some right that was actually, I mean, I wasn't against the global agreement itself. I'm against the entire, I'm a little concerned about the entire process. I'm just using the global agreement as a reason to, maybe we should open up some discussion about what's happened to our residents in the Woodlands. That's my job as a director.
Just to help you, Conroe was the only entity that had the 80-year contract.
Yes.
Everybody else was 40.
Okay.
Everybody
So they're just coming
That
down.
was their original choice and they changed their mind.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Was there ever any analysis done to quantify what some of the cost that John was referring to, you know, that the Woodlands had as a result of this negotiation, you know, in terms of the interest that was foregone, the legal fees and all of any of that other thing? Anybody ever quantify what that dollar amount was?
We had,
We had some totals.
Yeah, the page 68 of that, again, I'm just referring back to that PowerPoint presentation. Said waiver of additional claims, the authority waives claims for approximately 8 million in accrued penalties, interest and fees, and both parties waive the right to attorney fees and litigation costs related to the lawsuit. And I think that was, my recollection is that was talked about in connection with the trade-offs, I guess, the River Authority considered about continuing, if there wasn't a settlement, continuing that additional legal costs, additional court, additional years of having that short pay, and the remainder of the Woodlands and other GRP participants having to pay elevated GRP rates to make up for the short pay by Conroe. So I think that was my recollection of what was presented to the trustees back. It's been a few months. We've also had a few times since then, but my recollection was that was the trade-off.
Did it say what the attorney fees were for the River Authority?
I don't see that on here. I don't recall if that was.
Anybody want to reveal that, or is that not going to be revealed?
We have a spreadsheet that identifies each of the pieces of litigation and the costs associated with that. I don't have it memorized.
I'm just trying to bring it back, and I know that'd be shared by lots of people, so it may not be as significant as I think, but I have no way to know. And I do think it's a little interesting that we agreed to spend the money that we ate, the money that we should have had at the beginning, and they get to use it for their benefit and bond defeasance and new water rates and.
Well, the bond defeasance is all of the GRP bonds, not Conroe's bonds.
But at the end of the day, they also share in that benefit, don't they? And it's just like, oh my God, what a deal. So I'm not paying lawyer fees, I'm not paying interest, I'm not paying penalties, and the money I give you, I get the benefit in. That's a
But
good deal.
it's likely that that's a good use of that money. I mean, that probably would have been done regardless.
Oh, no.
I mean,
Why couldn't it come back to the ratepayers, Jim?
Right.
One of the things that we had to weigh, if we had gone all the way through litigation and come out the winner, somewhere along the line, the court gets asked to decide on whether they're going to reimburse our attorney fees. And in the antitrust case, for example, the judge did not allow repayment of our attorney's fees. So it's not a given that we'll get those fees back.
No, I appreciate that. And I understand that. I honestly believe, I respect Aubrey. I think you guys made a decision based on the facts you had and how it affected you. And I don't think it was a bad thing. I don't think it's, we weren't considered. People that are actually paying for this thing we weren't considered, and we're not being considered again in the global agreement. Everything has been done without us being involved in any manner.
We're asking for your comments.
You're asking for comments. Well, great. Oh my goodness. Let me see. This whole deal's been done. Now I get to comment on an agreement that I don't even have a vote on. That you can decide whether you like my comments or not and push it forward. Once again, Woodlands Water, it has no recourse but to accept what's happened to them, and it's very frustrating. I mean, we're a big money. We're almost half of what you do, right?
No, sir.
We're a big piece of your.
You receive 50% of the surface water we
Right.
deliver, but out of the total GRP, you're about 20%
2025.
of the total.
Okay, 50% of the surface water, which is pretty good size. So we're a good customer, big customer. Woodlands Water Division's pretty big, right? Is it your biggest division?
Is it the biggest division?
Woodlands Division?
Manpower wise, yes. Our Highlands division produces more revenue.
Well, I just feel that somehow the Woodlands Water Division and the Woodlands Water Agency somehow got pushed aside at this agreement and may have cost us. And I
felt from the very beginning, starting with the presentation by Aubrey Spear, meeting that he was present at and made the presentation. In fact, I commented at that time that I didn't think it was equitable for the people of the Woodlands who had paid full costs for all those years, including the interest that we paid every year. And now we get nothing in return for that. And I get the fact that that's been negotiated for whatever reason. What I don't understand now is what happens if we don't do anything with this? What agreement does the San Jacinto River Authority have with the city of Conroe at that point?
There is a sample agreement in the package that you all received back in September that delivered to Eric. My recollection that one Conroe gets their reduction in term. There are certain things within this global agreement that becomes part of Conroe's agreement and nobody else.
Yeah, that's the part that I'm struggling with. Why are they called out so specially here? And why wouldn't that apply to everyone else?
I could not tell you. I was not part of that negotiation. That would, we can ask Mr. Spear to come and have a conversation. Put these questions in your comments back to, and
It's a good way to handle. I like that
and
suggestion.
then we'll ask Mr. Spear to provide comment.
Would that be at the trustee level, Eric, or can we do this at a more inclusive mud level, or what's the way to do that?
Just send me your comments to me and then I'll collect all of them.
And if he decides to come back, if one of his, per Ed's suggestion that we invite Aubrey to come in and explain this to us, how would that be? Would that be in your comments and we decide then if he says yes?
I mean, I think we can ask him to come anytime. Yeah, it doesn't have to be in the comments.
Well, I think it should be, we
Put
ask,
your specific questions in there and
But it might be reasonable because we're probably not the only ones with comments or questions. Get
Correct.
them consolidated and maybe make a presentation to the trustees.
Correct.
So legal question. I understand that the same law firm that represents WWA represents San Jacinto River Authority. Is that going to be an issue?
I think they had separate litigation counsel in connection with the lawsuit.
you also hired another counsel too, didn't you? An independent one, or are you still?
well, all our litigation counsels have been independent. My best understanding is Schwartz Page Harding does not do litigation. Never has. And so the attorneys representing WWA versus the River Authority are independent. I've always heard the phrase Chinese walls between the attorneys. They don't share information, even though they're partners.
Worked in the 1400s.
I think it's still true today.
Walls now. So, yeah, it's a great expression on Wall Street too. It's come under a lot of attack, so.
I've worked with a number of law firms over the last 40 years, and they're very clear about keeping things separate. Their code of ethics almost required.
Okay, so suggestion, I vote we defer this until we get our suggestions into Eric and we can look at it again next month.
And I think you're not asking for a vote today.
There is.
But yeah, so I agree with you. That's the path forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Solved that problem, didn't we?
So we need to get comments to you before the next meeting. And that'll solve this issue.
All the time if you have questions.
At least,
I don't know if it's gonna solve it.
well, at least
Put it down the road a little more.
Get us to the next step.
to the next step.
Get us a better if we get a better understanding of what happened to us, I think I'd be happy. So I can go to my constituents and say, this is what happened. It was a decent deal. Yeah, it cost us a little bit, but at the end of the day, it could have cost us more. I don't know, but I need some explanation because it's a big deal. And the more I hear about us, what's happening there, the more I'm concerned. That's all. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Okay, item 17, consider an act on pay application number 4 for the retail wastewater collection system rehab.
All right, there is a pay estimate number 4 for the sanitation rehabilitation project in the amount of $110,960, of which you had a little bit of work done under that pay estimate to the tune of $4,800 minus retainage, and your participation in that estimate is $4,560. So I need a
Motion to pay.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
That was easy.
Opposed? Item 18, attorney's report.
Only item I have there is election related. So as you know, the candidate filing period did begin last week. The materials are available, either paper versions from Shelley, or you can also download the materials online. We do have those on the website for candidates to be able to download
So
those.
is this on the Woodlands Water website?
Yes, I believe
Website.
on the mud site.
On each mud site? Oh, okay. And so, and I think I heard some of the people already put their applications into Shelley. Is that right, Shelley?
Correct.
And where, do those get posted by the county or by you?
The application,
The applications are posted. The materials to download are posted, but not the completed applications.
All right, we're the finance, so the finance reports are the only thing that get posted. And that would be, I don't know, I'm asking, and that would
After
be,
the process.
and that would be in the county then, or the, state?
Where do y'all?
posted on our website or the MUD website.
So my website will have, okay, that's why I was asking, I didn't know where to look. I heard people, I didn't know, I go, where do I find that?
So it will, once we get to the end of the candidate filing period, February 13th, we'll see, which districts we have with contested elections. And then as we've done the last several cycles, we will partner with Montgomery County to hold those collections on the district's behalf, handle the voting locations, machines and workers and what have you. So that's pretty much it in terms of elections. I think, your point, I mean,
My question was, I asked your council last month to come back to us with an answer or an
Yeah.
understanding, please.
the candidate materials are handled exactly the same for incumbents or for, challengers or other candidates.
And how is that?
It's the forms from the state.
Yes, but I'm trying to, okay, so I understand the state has digital forms, and then we provide the digital forms to all candidates, not paper copies.
Either way. So we're providing that option for any
And
candidate.
so it's posted out there, so any candidate could find it and knows that we'll come do this for you. Is that what it says out there?
Well, no, on the website are the applications that people can download and.
Okay, so how do they know that there's a paper copy available to them?
If they come here to request a copy.
How would they know? Do you understand? You understand that what I'm trying to it's the fairness that is required by the TEC. They want elections to be fair.
Absolutely,
And so all parties, all candidates should be treated the same.
absolutely.
And are we treating them the same?
Yes,
How so?
what I was just explaining to you.
Well, you didn't go, I just asked you if somebody that's not a director would know there's a paper copy available for them to come here and use.
Well, we record our meetings. So
Well, that's pretty obtuse. You're gonna tell me that's a public notice?
sorry.
All right.
Well, in terms of, you're asking me about legal requirements, are we in compliance
Yeah.
with the election requirements?
Yes. With section 255.003, where you should not use any
Correct.
government resources
Absolutely.
for any individual candidate.
Absolutely.
So the papers weren't filled out by anybody. They're just blank paper.
They should be the standard forms available for any candidate regardless of whether.
That's what we're doing now.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
So we do need to take action on item number 19 to adopt the order calling the election. I believe that order is a little bulky, so I don't think it's in the packet, but was on the Google Drive.
So moved.
Yeah, well, I didn't mention, y'all know. I'm sorry. So Jim, Paul, Alan, you are the directors who are up. I mentioned that every meeting who current directors are. Have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you. That's all I have.
item 20, GM report.
All right, just a couple things. Point out that AWD conferences this week in Houston, be Friday night and then Saturday. And then people will probably be heading back home for the freeze.
He's
Try to
safe.
beat that back. Yeah, it's gonna
Be
be
safe.
a little iffy, but did want to also point out that back in October, we did start significant work on the level 3 pipe problems that we identified in the budget. So those are moving forward. Some have hit your financials, we'll see. And then last week, we started some of the heavier clearing on the brush vegetative growth overgrowth into some of the ditches. So that started last week in some various districts. So you'll see more and more of that over this year. In the trustee meeting summary, you'll see an item related to the GRP, specifically on a recommendation that the trustees gave to me, direction on how to vote on a particular question. The item that was posed to the GRP committee was to do a budget amendment to identify a GRP rate reduction of 13 cents. Or the other option was a rate reduction of 11 cents plus putting $500,000 into the R&R fund to help fund some ongoing operation and maintenance, in particular, the filters. So with that information, that recommendation or guidance, I made motion at the DRP meeting yesterday, and it passed 4-0 on the 11 cents of 5,000 to the R&R. So I just wanted to point that out. And then last thing I had was communications.
Page 122. Page 122 on the bottom has a graph of our average annual usage for residential connection per day. And I think it's a pretty revealing graph. That's a heck of a drop in usage from 2002 to 2025. I mean, you went from what, 450 to 300?
Most of that was the implementing the DIS regulations back in the early 2000. And then all the ups and downs are droughts and not droughts, droughts and wet years. But the big drop was the DIS. And that's where we kind of go around the neighborhood and make sure that folks are watering on certain days and those types of things. So that made a huge impact.
It's pretty impressive that we dropped what? It's 150 gallons. That's a lot. What is that, 30%? Anyhow, my question, follow-up question is, how does that affect this work we're doing with the SFDUEs? I mean, aren't those assigned a value? Gallons? And when we do our estimates on stuff, when we're doing that with the wastewater treatment facility and the SFDUEs, how does that compare to what I'm seeing here?
When an engineer would design a water plant facility, they can either design it to, or a sewer plant for that matter, they could design it to minimum design guidelines or to actuals or expected actuals. And so at some point when all the plants were designed years ago, it was designed based on some number, whatever that is. So if that were to change over time, then theoretically, you could potentially gain back some of that capacity, at least in terms of actual plant capacities. You may or you may not. You may not unallocate those capacities away from a facility because that type of development still, has that average usage industry wide. So whether that's happening in the Woodlands or it changes, people could decide to start using more water or whatever the case may be. So. But it's still there. But the SFDUEs don't change.
No, the SFDUEs don't change, but the value assigned to them was kind of based on usage, wasn't it?
That's what I thought, yeah.
The gallons changes. So during the wastewater strategic plan, we redid it has not been adopted yet. So these two are unofficial until there's action brought forward. But the wastewater SFDUEs used to be 217 gallons per day. And it's unofficially reduced to 200. So officially planning is still 217. Others 200. At the same time we saw that drop, we went and looked at the water system. So we have two studies from Freeze and Nichols. And the water system, I'll explain why. The water system used to be 439 gallons per SFDUE, per day per SFDUE. And that one went up to about, I think, 445. Right. So your demand in 67 is going down, but collectively across the Woodlands, looking at irrigation, there is a slight bump up because if you look like Carlton Woods, residential areas, a lot of irrigation at certain points. So when you average out the Woodlands, the average GPM per SFDUE was, I think, 445 or so. But we have those two reports, but we still are referring to the 439 for water and 217 for wastewater.
The irrigation doesn't go on the sewers, right? No,
correct.
Yeah, no. So you're staying on top of what's happening. I was surprised at how severe or significant that drop has been. For definitely doing a great job conserving water, and that's a good lead into John, who's going to tell us how to do it better.
There's a segue. Okay, so you have your communication report separate there. I didn't make it in your packet, and then you also have a annual update from last year for reference. So that's where I wanted to start. So last year, Mud sent out an annual update at the beginning of the year, talking about all the great things you did. You spent $1,000 to print that. We also distributed it via email and pushed out through social media. I mean, it lives on the website year round. For that $1,000, 40% of your total accounts read the email, 72% received the paper copy. So pretty good return on investment there. You saw a resulting 66% increase in daily traffic to your mud page in the 3-year period after that. So people were reading it. So if you want to do that again, sorry, Alan.
The second item, maximize mud exemptions. The amount is wrong.
40.
It's 40,000, not 30.
This is the one we need to update.
This is last year.
We need to update this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. So the plan would be to see what kind of updates you want to make. And
Okay.
maybe it's updating some numbers, maybe it's entirely different key points. But I think the process that would work well is if you get me your comments via email. I'll send this to you electronically via email. And then make your comments, send them back to me. I'll consolidate those. And then I'd like to work with one designee, one director specifically to kind of hone that and get it in a reviewable form for your next meeting.
Oh, we already have, don't you have somebody on a communications committee from this group?
Well, I worked with Jim last year, who was my point of contact. Steve and I we communicate a lot for being on the CWG.
If Stephen, you do.
Okay.
You want to take that on, Steve? Awesome, great.
Communications.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll track you down, Steve. I'll track all of you down via email with this report. Get your comments, send them back to me.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
we-
otherwise it might be
Yeah.
walking forward.
If you could have these to me, a week before at the latest for February's meeting. So we can get them together and then present it at that meeting. So I'll put that in there. I'll put a deadline and so forth.
Thanks, John.
Okay, a couple more quick things. Happy to celebrate that Stephanie Williams, our social media specialist, started full-time yesterday. She's been half-time since she began with us in the summer. She's now full-time, so I'm excited about what we can do with that extra capacity. And then also, you're going to be seeing a lot of freeze communication coming out here starting tomorrow, helping folks be aware that there's a major freeze coming, providing tips on protecting their home and landscape. Watch for that. And good luck.
Thank you, John.
Okay, item 21, authorize staff to perform 2026 water loss audit.
That's an annual report that we need to submit, they get prepared and then submit by March 1, so I need authorization to begin.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Trustees report, Paul.
Not much to add, except our prior conversation, but on page 125, under financials, where it says net loss, that's a net gain for the period. 245,000. All I have.
I have a question on the trustee report and it's on page 128. I don't know if Eric was gonna talk about that or the trustee or. It's this resolution, WWA Bass budget cash reserves. My question is we're switching apparently from the way we do the future adjustments from an administration fee, although I thought we were doing it by SFDUEs, to a portion share of equity. So can somebody tell me what that means and how that impacts each of the months?
So the way it had been calculated, which had been raised by a number of folks over the last few years, has been inequitable. Is I think it worked, when it was first put into play. But what we changed was looking at how the ending equity is calculated. Basically, each MUD's buy-in throughout the previous year, whether it's, how much work was done, on behalf, that goes into the equation for ending equity. And so that's a more representative sample of what each MUD's individual participation into WWA from the previous year would be versus an ESFC, which really doesn't, there could be ESFCs that the district paid for, for future, because that's a future number.
That's true.
So it made more sense for that to be more of an active number that would, be correspondent to the previous year's audit. And so we would pull that from the audit that's completed and then identify if there was a variation of the 1 to 2 month reserve. And as you recall, the resolution, as it states, is that if at that point after the audit that we are dropped below 1 month, we need a cash call to get up to 1.5. And conversely, if we're above 2, where there's a distribution back to get us to 1.5. So the other, that changed, and the other item that changed is really to memorialize what was actually happening in practice versus what it said before, which was to make that calculation not just on the word operating reserves, because from an auditor's perspective, operating reserves included a lot more things versus cash. So we wanted to clarify that it was based on the cash reserves, which is how we were calculating it anyway. So that's not really a material change to the operation. It's just a change to the wording. To be more consistent with what we're doing.
So with reference to MUD 67, our MUD, did changing the way the district did that to proportionate share of equity have any impact on our residents?
No, it would.
Okay,
it was-
thank you.
Visible.
Uh-huh.
I think our auditor, John Knox, and his team, in conjunction with Eric, brought this to light. And the audit committee has reviewed this and has agreed with these changes as made. And unless 2 MUDs merge, and even then you would just average, I suppose, the 2 equities, which I think was actually done in one case.
Okay,
So the practical answer is no effect.
thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for the explanation.
Anything else, Paul? Brian, do we need to go in an executive session?
I think we went that horse, didn't we?
Okay, 25 matters for placement on future agenda.
It's too soon to tell, but
Hearing none, the meeting is,
remind me again, when is the new deadline for putting in agenda items? We're in a new year now. What is it?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember, it's on the MUDs, we have to post the beginning of the week of trustee meetings, so we try to get those.
I think we identified for the MUDs, it was 2 Fridays prior to the meeting. So,
The Friday before the week of the trustee meeting.
correct.
2 Fridays before our meeting.
right,
The first Friday is during the trustee meeting, so it'd be the Friday before the trustee meeting.
right.
Okay. That makes sense. It's really hard to remember, but okay.
Any others?
No, thank you.
Meeting is adjourned.